Dartskill presents linear equation. A linear equation is an equation in which the power or exponent of the unknown quantity is 1. For example, x minus 1 is equal to 5, y plus 2 is equal to 10, p divided with 3 is equal to 12, 3 times x is equal to 14. They are all examples of linear equations. Now, in a linear equation, there can be only one answer to the problem. For example, if you look at the first equation, there can only be one number, in this case 6, that can fit into this place of x, so that you take away 1, you get 5. There's no other number that can replace this x out here. And the same goes with the other equations as well. The key to solving linear equations is to isolate the unknown on one side of the equation and have the constants on the other side. This can be achieved by following some simple rules in maths that lets us add, subtract, multiply, and divide both sides of an equation by the same number. Let's see an example or two. Let's say we want to solve the equation 5x is equal to 2x plus 9. Like I said, our first job is to have all the x's on one side of the equation, the left hand side, and the constants on the other side, the right hand side. Right now, you see an x here and an x here. So if you don't want to see this x on the right side of the equal side, you probably realize that all you need to do is take away a 2x from this side so that this 2x and this 2x cross off, meaning 2x minus 2x is 0. But then, if you're subtracting something from one side of the equal sign and you want this equation to hold true again, that is in the next step, you will need to subtract that same amount from the other side. So now we have 5x minus 2x, which is 3x, is equal to, this one's a 0 plus 9, like I said, because 2x minus 2x is 0. That's the whole idea of subtracting 2x from both sides, so that we no longer have an x on this side. And therefore, 3x is equal to 9. And remember, we need x, we don't need 3x. Right now, it's like saying 3 times the number that we need is equal to 9. What is that number? Well, you probably guessed it right, but to do it formally, we need to divide both sides of the equation in the next step with 3. So that we have 3x divided with 3 is x, and 9 divided with 3 is 3. Therefore, x is equal to 3, and it's the only number that could fit into this equation over here. 5 times x, 5 times 3, that's a 15. This is a good way to check your answer. Once you have your answer, just plug in the number that you got in the original equation. So we have 5 times 3, which is 15, is equal to 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 9. And that works. 15 is equal to 6 plus 9. That tells us that we got the right answer. This time we have, well, let's say y minus 1 times y plus 1 is equal to y times y minus 2. Now this doesn't look like a linear equation, but if you open up the parentheses on both sides of the equation, let's see what we have when we do that. So y times y is y square plus y times 1, which is 1y written as y plus y, minus 1 times y, which is a negative y, minus 1 times positive 1, which is negative 1, is equal to, open up the parentheses on the other side, that is distribute this y outside, y times y is y square, minus 2 times y, or y times 2 is 2y. Now this plus y and this minus y cross off to give you a 0. It's like saying plus 5 minus 5, that's 0. Plus anything minus that same thing is equal to 0. And therefore, we have y square minus 1 is equal to y square minus 2y. Now, we still happen to have a y on both sides of the equation. And not only that, the equation is still not in a linear form because we see a y square. Now the key is to understand over here that if you take away or subtract y square from both sides of the equation, remember, if you're subtracting something from the left hand side of the equal sign, you need to do the same on the right hand side. So we have y square minus y square. So these two would cross off. Same thing on the other side. Y square minus y square is 0. So cross them off. We have negative 1 left over on the left hand side is equal to negative 2y. Or if you flip them around, negative 2y is equal to negative. We need y, we don't need negative 2 times y. We are going to go ahead and divide both sides of this equation with negative 2. That eventually leads us to the answer. Negative 2 over negative 2 is 1. Therefore, we have a 1y, or y is equal to negative 1 over negative 2 is 1/2. Y is equal to 1/2.